coming up. Have a good day.
That's my mom.
That's your mom?
Michael's journey to this school is an unusual one.
That's how it felt. That was a play that we saw at school.
And the road was paved by his family's love. What have they done to open the doors for so many special children? You'll find out coming up. I'm Kimberly Perkins, and we've just arrived in Dallas, Texas, to do a story today on education. We've done a lot of stories on education over the years, and that's because we like them. We think education makes a big difference. But most of those stories have taken us to developing countries like Cambodia, Ghana, and Ethiopia. So why are we here today in the Longhorn State? Well, just watch, and we think you'll agree that this school is indeed making a difference.
We did not know before she was born that she had Down syndrome.
Tell her bye-bye. Can you say bye-bye?
You feel a little like you don't know what to do. You lose a little bit of hope about what now. We're first-time parents, so you have a certain expectation about how everything is going to be. And immediately it wasn't like that.
Kind of felt like that the first 24 hours because we didn't know anything about Down syndrome. Your first reaction, I think, is, what did I do wrong? That was my thought. Did I eat the wrong foods? Did I exercise too much, too little? Because you don't know. It was very hard. I think I probably cried for the first 20 hours. And then there's the guilt with that because you've just had your baby. You're supposed to be happy.
We were only told that the child would have mental retardation, he would have facial deformities. And I'm a nurse, but I don't have a lot of experience with children with Down syndrome. So it was terrifying actually for us.
I turned to my doctor when he told us and I said, "But you told me this wasn't going to happen." It was a completely immature, ridiculous response. And I just remember saying to my husband, I don't know if I can do this. I can't do this. I'm not ready to do this.
There's defining moments in everybody's life. My first grandchild. And a shock to find out that she was Down.
Well, it was Easter Sunday. I just knew something wasn't right.
The twins came early.
One of the nurses came over and with a doctor, and that's when they said, first, we think your son has a heart defect, which was scary. And then they said, and we also think he might have Down syndrome. It was just a shock.
And it freaked me out because I had had an experience 40 years before when a good friend was in the hospital with his wife, and that lady gave birth to a Down syndrome. And the doctor subsequently said, I'm gonna, not to fear, it's Down syndrome, I will take the baby away. And now fast forward 40 years, I'm in the hospital and I hear that, and I freak out because that was my only experience.
Fortunately, times have changed, and children born with Down syndrome are no longer whisked away to become wards of the state. But there are still questions that accompany the diagnosis.
What is Down syndrome? What have they learned in 40 years? What can we do?
these children are not going to develop as typical children do. But what does it really mean to be born with Down syndrome? According to the National Institute of Health, Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder caused by an error in cell division. These children frequently have slow metabolisms, hearing loss, vision disorders, poor muscle tone, and congenital heart defects.
And I just remember saying to my husband, I don't know if I can do this. I can't do this. I'm not ready to do this. And he said to me, he looked at me and he said, no, this is our son. He is going to be wonderful. We're going to love him. We're going to take him home. Everything's going to be fine.
There are lots of people in the world that have children with Down syndrome that were devastated when they found out about the diagnosis, but now, you know, having had the child would never change a thing.
And I remember thinking, no, you crazy man, nothing is ever going to be fine again. This is the worst moment of my life. And what's funny now is that Blakely is actually our middle child now, and he is truly the glue of our family. He is the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to us.
As a parent, you research, you investigate, you discover. Perhaps you dare to hope.
A few months later, I was with a friend playing golf, and I told him about our family's search. And that friend said, look no more.
John's golf buddy told him about an innovative program at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa called the RISE School, where early intervention is key.
Early intervention works. It's a proven program and it's a proven model. We have a very intensive program where it's 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, to work in as much intervention as we possibly can, because now's the time when we can make the most difference.
This difference is made using speech, occupational, physical, and music therapy, all woven into an age-appropriate curriculum. But the Duncans were most impressed by a little girl named Allison.
She was 4 years old, and our Blake was 4.5. Well, Allison had Down syndrome, and Blake doesn't, but Allison was reading.
That could have been the best day of my life, because there in Tuscaloosa, we saw in classrooms Down syndrome children reading to each other, behaving, being as natural as blueberry pie.
We knew they were doing something right there and thought, wow, you know, this is what we need to do.
I mean, we were planning the school on the plane on the way home. I mean, how can we make this happen?
We're glad you're here today. We're glad you're here today. Give a cheer 'cause Kyle's here. We're glad you're here today. Woo!
We'll take you into the RISE schools of Dallas and Houston and introduce you to the people whose lives are forever altered because of a grandfather's dedication to his grandson.
There's no doubt about it. If you're happy and you know it, sing hooray! Hooray!
These little miracles are happening because one grandfather was determined to make the best possible life for his grandson.
I was so excited about it, I took some others, we took some others from the Texas Children's Hospital.
After an inspiring visit to the RISE School in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, John and Brenda Duncan brought the curriculum closer to home in Texas, where he asked these physicians,
if you were going to be born with Down syndrome, had you rather be born in the shadow of the Texas Medical Center or in a little country town called Tuscaloosa? And they all answered Tuscaloosa. So I said, well, shame on us, because we can repair their hearts, we can do all the things that they seem to need, but we don't give them a life worth living.
That life worth living came about in a church basement in Dallas, where Michael was the first student.
So I think when the RISE school started, when he was 3.5, everyone in the family got involved because we didn't know what else to do. When Margot started walking and Michael didn't walk, and Margot started talking and Michael didn't talk, we saw that it was going to be slower. And as he started learning, then and more kids were coming with problems, everybody, you know, benefited from it. Everybody. You saw the family relax.
With the success of the school in Dallas, the Duncans established a Rise School in Houston. There, John Duncan courted the expertise of Jan Staley.
John Duncan is a businessman, and I think he realized that right away when he went to start a school for his grandson Michael and to start a school here in Houston. He knew that education was not his background, so he needed to put all those things in place so he would have a great school. I find him a man with extraordinary vision, and I think that's what I was drawn to. What he presented to me was the challenge of all of these opportunities and not the bureaucratic red tape, if you will. And I could do what I learned to do for children and do it on my terms. And it's been so very, very successful.
The success of Rise has parents of developmentally delayed children clamoring for a spot, and the long waiting list means that many won't get in.
And I remember I pretty much pushed aside everyone in front of me. I probably knocked down a whole lot of families and got to the front, and I spoke with Jennifer, who was working with Mr. Duncan on starting Rise. And I said, I want my little boy on the list, I want my little boy on the list. And so he was in the very first class that started here at Rise.
It has been incredible. She has learned so much since she started here in late August. We have been absolutely amazed. It is a wonderful place with wonderful people. We were able to tour, she was 2 weeks old, and it just changed everything. It just changed our complete outlook on what her life is going to be like. So we couldn't be more grateful to be here.
I got a picture of a girl. Who's that girl? Who's that girl? There she is. See, that's me.
The stars were all aligned, as we always say, because we went in and there is a long waiting list because it's a fabulous school. And they had one spot open for one girl. It had to be an infant with Down syndrome. Woo! And when Jan told me, I lost it. I thought, oh my gosh.
Tom, you're 5.
You're 5? What is your name?
Say Luke. That's me.
We actually considered going to some closer places that were a little more daycare-ish. And we just found that the experience was not good for Luke. The people that were in these facilities didn't know how to deal with him or his special needs. And it became very apparent to us that Rise was the place for Luke because they knew how to deal with him. And actually the first year he was there gave us so many suggestions about things to do. We thought we were doing everything that we could do, and clearly we weren't.
All right, friends, are we ready to get our big muscles ready? What time is it? Our morning exercise. Good. Flex your big muscles.
What exactly sets this curriculum apart from traditional preschools?
Just the focus on the child. You have 3 teachers in the classroom and 4 therapists that come in to see those children, and they all collaborate and work together with the children. So we have such a total knowledge of the child. All of them, when they leave here, can assimilate into a kindergarten class. They can sit in a group. They can line up in a line, they can follow the lead of the teacher, they can open their lunches, they can go to the bathroom. They have very good teacher-pleasing behaviors. They're ready to go.
Every teacher at Rise either has or is working toward their master's degree in early childhood special education. The children attend 6 hours a day all year long, and Rise is accredited by NACCE, the National Association for the Education of Young Children, an honor that only 7% of all preschools in the U.S. can boast. The one thing that truly sets Rise apart? Reverse integration, a practice where 30% of the students in each classroom are typically developing children.
And also all of the physical therapies, the occupational therapies, just all of the therapies that we offer at Rise, the typical children and the special needs children all benefit from them. And also they learn compassion for each other and being able to accept differences among their peers rather than pushing them away.
And then in addition, we have a classroom assistant who is an adult with special needs who helps in the classroom. Again, a fabulous role model, a fabulous thing for our kids and our families to see.
She went to the closet to get up. Ooh.
Ooh. What do you like about working here, Chris?
Well, I like the children and I like my new friends, my co-workers.
Do you think you're a good role model for these kids?
Oh yes, but of course.
You were in a movie?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was a wonderful experience for me.
What do you want people to remember about the Rise School?
So I want the kids to come here to get started with their hopes and dreams.
Mr. Duncan, one of his favorite quotes is, we are making your children into taxpayers. But it's true. My son will perhaps work here, perhaps work somewhere else, but he is not going to be living in an institution. He is probably not going to be needing any kind of help, really, as he grows older. And that is a huge thing taken off of society.
Just how early do they start early intervention? You'll find out when we come back.
We're at the Rise School in Dallas today with 2-year-old student Dylan, but actually at some of the Rise schools, students start as young as 9 months old.
Aaliyah, can we take a bite? Good girl. It's speech and eating go hand in hand. And if we can get the eating skills perfected, then these little guys will be able to talk without so many challenges. When we first opened this baby classroom, we didn't have it when we first opened Rock. You help me tell them, girl. And we found that our children with Down syndrome walked and talked between the ages of 3 and 4. Our first year, at the end of our year, we thought, oh my gosh, we had a classroom of geniuses. Because we had children walking and talking when they left our classroom after their first year here. That's 2.5 years earlier than we had ever gotten those skills before.
We do this kind of play because getting a child up and moving is one of the things that just totally opens their world. One of the things that a child with Down syndrome fights against is low muscle tone. And doing things like bouncing on this ball, you notice I give her the hip support way down low, and she has to work to hold that upper body up. Like she self-corrected just then to keep from falling. As she gets stronger and stronger, she'll be able to sit, she'll be able to pull to stand, and before the year's over, we're hoping Miss Aaliyah learns to walk and just runs out of our classroom. We try to make it play, but it's still hard work. It's hard work for them. Yeah.
It's kind of what we would say building core strength for adults.
Yes, exactly. Trunk strength, stability, abdominal strength, all that upper body. And it even transfers into when we put a pencil and a marker in their hand later, it has a lot to do with their success with writing.
The main key is early intervention for these children. Children with special needs typically form improper patterns of movement due to instability in their joint, weakness, or neurological problems in their brain.
So yes, everything you do physically is going to affect speech, social development, fine motor development, cognitive development.
If they are walking taller, walking down the hallway, they can look people in the eye and say, "Hi, how are you?" And that helps them socially as well. So it's a really global approach to getting in there early.
And in August, he was just attempting to jump. He would bend his legs and he'd pop up
but his feet didn't move anywhere. Now he still gives that great big bend. He goes all the way to the floor, and he waits, and he explodes off the floor and jumps up 2 inches now.
Now it says F1. You press F1 here.
Okay.
And it was keyboard.
And that gives you the keyboard?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And the reason Brenda and I work so hard at Rise School now, it's no longer, as Brenda says, about Michael. Michael's graduated. He's gone. He will be great. But it's the 175 children on our waiting list that runs us crazy. Because to look at them and know they are not going to have the same advantages that Michael had is a nightmare. And that's why we're trying to promote improving the school, making it bigger, doubling its student population. We have enormous support from the Texas Medical Center, who has given us the land to build a new building. They know that our product here, a graduate of this curriculum, is an improved person.
Don't ever write off someone with a disability. They are oftentimes capable of things you cannot imagine.
If granddaughters can change people, they changed this guy here, I can assure you.
We're really headed into a new era, I think, where people with disabilities are going to be really truly a part of our society, really truly accepted, and are able to give back to society.
I'd been repotted in my life like a tree 3 or 4 times. And I was in a public company life, and I was in a private company life, and I was in an investor life, and then I've been here for a decade. Somehow I get a bigger, warm, fuzzy feeling out of working for the Rise School. I've never worked for free, except this job, and it's very rewarding to me.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It is time for us to say goodbye. We've had a great time at the Rise School, and if you'd like to learn more, log on to our website and we'll link you to the Rise School. I'm Kimberly Perkins, and I'll let Michael have the final word.
Thanks for watching and thank you for caring.